Alright, good afternoon YouTube. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the program submitted by Francesco. So he, from my understanding, 68 kilograms, 172 centimeters. I measure things in cheeseburgers and football fields, so I'm gonna have to think about that. I'm pretty sure 68 kilograms is about, let's see, 100 and 68 closer to 70, so about 160. 107 like 160 170 pounds, and then 172 centimeters. I I have no point of reference for that one, unfortunately. But anyway, so he is. This program is a concurrent program. Concurrent usually means training for two goals at the same time. Programs such as like a strength training and a like cardiovascular endurance program are usually called and concurrent programs. But I have found it to also be applied into other goals as well. So let's say strength and power, strength and size. But this is more so for strength, size, but also to maintain proprioception and the needs of his acrobatics course. So let's get into his program. So let's see. Here, first, he starts out at 3 sets of 8 to 12 on bench press. He only has 55 kilograms max at disposition. So I think you mean at your disposal, right? Meaning like you only, like the amount of equipment you have only allows you to go up to 155 kilograms. So if that's the case, if you are limited on um, weight or limited on equipment, usually what happens here and is really what all you can do, which is use variations to push to failure. So in calisthenics, for example, like progression isn't the same in calisthenics as it is in let's say like traditional resistance training such as barbell training, dumbbell training. Usually from there, the reason why they have so many exercise variations is really because what else can they do? But they can't just, like, for example, like they can add a weighted vest, but like now it changes, like it sometimes they're bulky and it decreases the range of motion, and it's harder to induce progressive overload in calisthenics. So that's why they have to use these variations to do so that way they challenge the muscle in a different way. And if you have a limited amount of weight, that's kind of similar to calisthenics because you are limited by your body weight. Obviously you can get heavier, you can get lighter and still do calisthenics, but like that will come with its own amount of issues. So if you have a limited amount of equipment, go to failure. I really wouldn't really use rep ranges at this in this circumstance, just because if you have a limited amount of weight that you can use, I would go to failure. Maybe use something like drop sets, do something like variations. So maybe like for 3 weeks you do standard bench, next week, the next 3 weeks you do close grip bench, the next couple weeks you do wide grip bench, and then you go back to the standard. But then you just kind of like keep cycling through with a bunches of failure, and then other intensification methods such as drop sets, rest pause, trying to find ways to make things harder on you with the amount of weight that you have until you can get more weight. Then you have barbell rows for 5 sets of 4 to 6. I'm not the biggest fan of barbell rows being used for super heavy loads, just because like in lower rep ranges, you want to be using like there's two approaches with lower rep ranges. Use the most amount of weight or use the most amount of force, meaning the most amount of power. You want to be explosive, so that's why speed work is done usually up to just 3 reps, because after 3 reps, like because you are demanding your body to repeat the effort, it can no longer fire off at a near 100%. But with low rep ranges, that's why it's like either you're doing heavy weights or you're lifting it as explosively as you possibly can. And the barbell row, I feel like, doesn't really benefit from either of those. So I would actually increase the range here to be something more like 6 to 10 or 8 to 12. Maybe even 5 to 8. So 5 sets of 5, 5 sets of 8, 5 sets of 5 to 8, something of that nature. Then front back lever raises progressions. So 1 week of static holds, 1 week of dynamic movements. I think that's great. So when it came to calisthenics, my background in it is kind of limited because I only did it for like muscle building purposes. I didn't really do a lot of the skill work aspect. I could do I think it was like there was a couple of movements that I was able to do, like but it was kind of like pretty early into the progression. So when it came to like the front levers, I could never do a back lever, but when it came to the front lever, I was able to do like a half one, or like with my legs slightly out, or just one leg out at a time. But I got access to a gym before I finished the progression essentially. And then handstand push-ups, 3 sets of 6 to 10. So let's see. With calisthenics, and with progression on handstand movements such as this, I would, let's see, because you can't really add load on a handstand push-up. So one thing that I would do here is like you do want to find ways to induce progression. So variations will come into play. I know there's a handstand push-up variation where basically like you go into a handstand, then you go down onto your forearms, kind of like in an extension, and then you come up. But those are things that I would do. The thing is, when it comes to a workout program, right? A workout program, a training program, the difference between them is the fact that progression takes place. At least one of the main differences between them is that a progression takes place. Because if your goal is just getting fit, if your goal is just being healthy, you don't need a workout program to be healthy. You don't need a workout program to be fit. You just need to work out. You just need to exercise. So what I would want to see here is something like a progression. You know, like maybe like how would you make this harder over time? Would you do more reps? So let's say, so that's usually why I just say just go to failure. Like go to failure, and then maybe if you want to train a bit further from failure, do more sets. So if you're like, so do 3 sets to failure, and then eventually it's just like, okay, I hit failure usually around 15 reps. So what if I did 4 sets of 8 to 12, and then build up there? That becomes a bit too easy. 4 sets to failure, and then you go up to 5 sets. And I know that's kind of like that, you can only go so far with that until you kind of get to a point where it'll just be a bit too easy, and that's kind of the weakness of calisthenics. Calisthenics does build muscle, it builds a great amount of strength, and I would argue that, and there's a reason why I include so many bodyweight movements in my own programming, just because there's nothing really to replace it. Or that's kind of a poor choice of words for my next point, but there is no better place for you to build your base than calisthenics. But the thing is, while it is great as a base, it is very much limited as far as like progression and loading kind of goes. And that's kind of the name of the game when it comes to size and strength. Now, for acrobatics and for general health and for athletic performance, that is not an issue at all. You want to be able to maintain that, so that's not a critique there. But it's just like for the goal of size and strength, while also trying to be acrobatic and have the ability to move your body through space, it's necessary to take that into consideration and like kind of like figure out like to what degree does each one matter. So when it comes to concurrent training, I always ask my clients like, are you like 60-40, 50-50? Like what's the ratio here? Because that will feed into your decision making process. It's like, okay, so this is the better choice if I was to be more so size focused, but this is a better choice if I'm more so size focused or more so acrobatics focused. When it comes to concurrent training, that's something that that's the drawback of concurrent training, because you are trying to mix in so many other things. You do get a lesser result, but at the same time you get more of multiple things. And the old saying goes, a jack of all trades is a what is it? Is a master of none, but sometimes a master of, let's see, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but is oftentimes better than a master of one. So that's why it's not really a bad thing or anything that I think is like horrible in my opinion, because honestly, I want to be big and strong, and then I want to be as big and as strong as my acrobatics will allow me. So then who cares? Like that's why working out is so wonderful, because it's based on your goals. Pull-ups and dips are great movements. But yeah, when it comes to body weight exercises, I am more inclined to just do sets. Like I kind of don't count reps when it comes to body weight. The same attitude like that you would have with like, let's say, ab training or sit-ups. Just go to failure. Just go to a RPE or RIR cap. Like don't even count reps. Like just be like, okay, I'm gonna do as many reps as I can while at RPE 7 or 8, and then just repeat that, and eventually the numbers should rise over time. That's kind of the basis of what I do with a lot of my clients, especially when they have goals that are pertaining to, especially pull-ups, because pull-ups is like, a very common exercise that most people like just suck at and want to get better on. But my progression really is to do a lot of sets, far from failure, because if you go to failure, you're going to damage your ability to do more reps per set. So that's why when it comes to these exercises, honestly, for one, I would also balance these out. You can do them as a superset, so that way you can get a little bit of conditioning element in there as well. And let's see, the next movement, archer push-ups, great exercise, 5 on each side. if 5 on each side is what you can handle right now, then here's like what I would do. I would do 3 sets of 6 to 5 or 6 to 10 on both sides and just build in through there. Because like I said, for something to be a workout program, progression should be at least a part of it. One arm band pulls. So you're pulling into your middle chest, upper chest, lower chest, I believe is what you're saying. Wait for shoulder health from what as far as I can tell. Then incline bench, 45-degree Y raises, so mid delt, and then 45-degree rear delt raises. So a lot of heavy work here, and then isolation movements. So what I would do here is like there's a couple of ways that I would kind of split this up. So let's see, I would superset the pull-ups and dips, and then let's see, I would superset like I would take some of I would take like let's say the archer push-up. Yeah, so I would take the archer push-up and then the one arm band pull and then the incline bench Y raise. Make that a giant set and then do the same thing with the bodyweight archer rows. I would just do that just to cut down on the amount of time and then increase the amount of effort that you have to put in, because with bodyweight training and with bodyweight training, the thing that should be, I guess, emphasized the most, because weight progression and tonnage progression is going to be limited with bodyweight training, effort has to be the number one thing that you try to put into every set. Every single set should be hard, in my opinion, if you want to get big and strong when it comes to these movements. And then Thursday, you rest. Nothing wrong there. Friday, seated calf raise. So let's see, balancing 50-pound plates on the quads, no other way to do them. That's fine. Standing barbell calves, but not on a step, on the floor, barbell in hand. That's fine as well. The only thing is, I wouldn't, me personally, I would start out with the deadlift and looking at the exercise selection, right? So deadlift with the barbell, and you're doing calf raises with a barbell in your hand. Just do deadlift, superset it with the calf raises. And then one thing you can do too with the seated calf raises is actually put the barbell on, like make sure you're seated. So sit down on a stable surface that can actually support your weight, the weight of the barbell, and make sure like maybe put some padding so that way it doesn't hurt your knees all that much. But you can do a weighted like calf raise with the bar on your knees, because you know that's how most machines are anyway. But try doing that. Nordic hamstring curl, great exercise. Reverse Nordic hamstring curls, 5 sets of 5. Let's see, I'm not against a 5x5 on this movement because it's a very difficult movement. So yeah, reverse Nordic hamstring curls are really hard, so I can definitely see why a 5x5 would be put in here. But like if you can, like I said, like just make each per set effort harder with accessories, where it's not like the pull-up where you damage your ability to repeat the effort as drastically, then I would kind of prefer that. But at the same time, it's not really that big of an issue. And then hip thrust, banded leg extensions, holding to failure last rep in last set. So assuming you mean going to failure, let's see, but overall pretty good. So I would superset those. Yeah, try to make some supersets out of these, because that'll help you be a bit more athletic, and that is only going to benefit you, especially since your goal is like more like acrobatics. Like, you know, that's a sport. You need to have cardiovascular conditioning for any type of sport. Chin-ups, 3 sets of 6 to 10. Like I said, just go to failure. Brachioradialis dumbbell bicep curls, so probably like a hammer curl, seated hammer curl. Let's see, preacher bench dumbbell curls, farmer walks, easy bar drag curls, dumbbell forearm supination, and deviation. So what I would do here is honestly like, so triceps, and then like so I would do chin-ups and then some type of triceps. I would do like, I would include some shoulder work on this day, so lateral raises, rear delt raises, upright rows, something of that nature, to get a little bit more of the delts involved, because I don't really see too much delt action involved, like delts specialization or like specific exercises for the delts. So I would definitely put some in there and just superset them with the curls. Farmer's walks, like that can easily be like a yoke exercise, and then supersetting that with some arms, not horrible at all. One of my favorite conditioning workouts is like a sled pushes and pulls with chest and back, and then like farmer's carries with biceps and triceps. So definitely able to do that there. But yeah, I would split this up a bit and just add some things to it, you know, like it doesn't, like, based on how it's written, I can't really assume that these are done in a superset fashion. So that's why it's just like bicep exercises to bicep exercise to bicep exercise. I would I don't think you need so many. So regular radialis, dumbbell curls, so reverse curl, hammer curl, like you don't need to do seated hammer curls. Let's just do this, and then like let's say a tricep extension with something for your shoulders, like side delts, and then you do something else. So biceps, triceps, rear delts, bicep, triceps, side delts, farmer's carries, and then the chin-ups. I think that was already a much better day. And if you have access to something like, let's say, JM press, a skull crusher, I think that's going to benefit you a lot more than how this day is written. But overall, it's not bad. I mean, like, I know you're working with limitations because of equipment, from what I'm understanding, but also your goals. Concurrent training, like I said, some goals are more congruent with other goals, so size and strength go really well. However, the addition of acrobatics does kind of complicate things a little bit, and when it comes to bodyweight training, that's the way that you progress on that is a little bit different. But either way, progression has to be the name of the game regardless if your goal is size and strength, because in size training, you need to be able to handle more stress over time. In strength training, you need to be able to handle heavier loads over time. So, but overall, not a bad program. I feel like the training length of each day is a bit difficult. Oh, so this is how he writes out supersets, like 5A. That's how I do it in my workout programs as well. So he does include supersets. So yeah, I would just include more supersets, especially on this day. Like this is kind of excessive for arms. Like you can definitely, and you're going to benefit more from a more complete overall physique by including the other recommendations that I made. So, but overall, pretty good program, and I think that this, given your circumstance, can result in a good amount of gains, but I would just make those changes in volume and exercise groupings. But other than that, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you have questions about your own program and you want me to review them, please email them to me or also leave them in the comments below. My name is Kurosa King, StanceTraining.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.